I'm Bill Henry, and welcome to Open Heavens Ministries. This video visualizes the movement of the Christ, events 0 and 1, from before the 4,000 years of promise up until his birth as flesh on earth. The ministry of Christ began before the times of the eternal places, in the current tabernacle or temple creation in levels of holiness, as a lamb slain from the foundation or the throwing down of the cosmos. After countless ages of immeasurable time in the oneness of God's light and provision for his creation, evil events developed in his kingdom that necessitated spiritual creation warfare. A once special anointed cherub in God's holy domain, now known as Satan or the devil, turns towards self-will apart from the will of his creator. The introduction and seduction of other angels into self-centered, sinful choices was swiftly addressed. After a trial and judgment in heaven, the devil and his other angel recruits are cast from heaven to the provisional creation of the holy place and the dark world. Here, the devil rules the dark world, other sinful angelic demons, and captivates people under the dominion of death. They continue harmful influence upon people while awaiting final execution and their sentencing in a reserved lake of fire. Somewhere in this process of events leading to the knowledge of evil in his kingdom, God himself, as the Christ, in his mercy, grace, and love, elects to personally bring that which is lost to sin back to himself in heaven. Even when his creation of Adam and Eve in the prepared very good Garden Eden also chose knowledge of good and evil over the tree of life with himself, God promises the work of Christ in Genesis 3:15. Beginning with the death of Abel by the hand of Cain, at death and judgment, God provides temporary places later known as Abraham's bosom for those righteous by repentance and faith in God's promised Messiah, but yet eternal darkness for those remaining in unbelief. The judgment and blessings of Christ were reiterated by God's prophetic speech in many parts and many ways. The Old Testament record highlights the good report of the fathers and the experiences like that of Enoch and Noah. Abraham before Melchizedek and Moses leading Israel both provide revelation concerning the special relationship of God's people and the law with the priestly sacrifices that symbolize the promised ministry of the Christ. Later, King David portrays the Christ with hope for transformation bodily into God's heavenly presence over the enemy of death from sin. The Old Testament period concludes after multiple prophetic messages like those of Isaiah, Jeremiah, Ezekiel, and others, with overwhelming revelation related to God's relationship with people and the ministry of the coming Christ. This cache of detail in God's appointed time, even after a long silence until John the Baptist, is completely fulfilled by God himself in his coming to earth as Jesus in flesh. These events on earth of the Son of Man lead to movement events 2a, 2b, and 3 in the ministry of Christ to open access to heaven for all believers at death and judgment.